to the Women's Sports Update. I'm Miles Crane, joined here by my good friend, Kaylin Kelly. And today, we're going to be talking about Syracuse Women's Basketball. They've been one of the best teams on campus so far this year, and head coach Felicia Leggett-Jack has led her team to a 19-5 record so far. Kaylin, you want to walk us through those past 3 games for the women?
Yeah, Miles, like you said, an impressive basketball team we have here. We had a Miami game with a 5-point win after the Hurricanes tried to make a comeback, a Boston College cakewalk with a 93-55 win, keeping them winless in the ACC, and an unfortunate Louisville loss, 84-65. But when Louisville played Syracuse, they were 6th in the country, so Syracuse put up a pretty good attempt.
Yeah, a great attempt indeed. An unfortunate loss to a great Louisville team. Very talented program there. But Syracuse averages 75 points per game so far this season and 42 rebounds. On average, they out-rebound their opponents by 12. And part of that is why they rank 9th in the country for rebounds per game. And that comes from the freshman center, Uche Azoje. Kaylin, you want to tell us a little bit more about her?
A freshman center, Uche Azoje, is putting up 14 points, 9 rebounds, and 1 assist per game with a 54% shooting average. In the last couple games, she had put up 12 rebounds against Miami, 18 points against BC, and did it all in Louisville with 13 points, 8 rebounds, and 2 assists. This led her to be a 6-time ACC Player of the Week winner, Naismith Defensive Player of the Year watch list, and 7th in the country for blocks, only standing at a freshman. Who else could do that, Miles?
Not many people can do that one, Kaylin. And usually what happens when you have a player as talented as Uche, you got a double teamer. And that's going to leave someone open, and that's usually going to be one of the guards. And I'm going to talk about Syracuse's 2 senior guards, Dominique Darius and Layla Filia, both averaging about 41% so far on the season. Filia averages 14 points a game, and Dominique averages 13. Both had great showings so far in those last 3 games. Darius put up 27 and 8 against Miami, put up 24 points against BC. Now that is a very easy BC game, expected to put those kind of numbers. But then you play at home against what was number 6 Louisville, 22 points from the senior, a great performance from her. And moving on to Filia, that Miami game on the road, 21 points in the Sunshine State. Up in BC, 11 points, 4 rebounds. Now, she did have a bit of a slip. 4 points, 2 rebounds against Louisville. They shut her down that day. But like I said earlier, they shouldn't be fazed by this loss. There's still plenty of more games on this season. You have ACC tournament play, NCAA tournament play. This is just one easy loss. Filia can definitely bounce back and prove herself. But then, like I said, those next couple of games, I believe you have Pitt, you have Boston College again, you have NC State, Clemson, Notre Dame. How are we feeling about those games, Kaylin?
Right, Miles. Like you said, I think with these numbers that we have, these games are going to be easy. Pitt has 1 win in the ACC. We beat them easily. Clemson, Notre Dame, nothing really to fight for. NC State, though, they have some similar numbers. They're putting up 78 points per game, where Syracuse is putting up 75. They're putting up 44 rebounds. Syracuse is putting up 42. So it's really just going to have to see who's going to put the foot forward and win that game. And I think the Syracuse have a really good chance.
I believe so, too. They can come out with that game. My strong belief, I strongly do think that Syracuse can win out the rest of this season, go into ACC tournament with only those 4 losses, and again, then they can get pretty far in that tournament too. You have those lower teams, Notre Dame and Clemson, they can beat multiple times this season, but once you get to the semifinal rounds, you have to play teams like UNC again, who they lost to. You have to play Duke, who they lost to. You have to play Louisville, who they lost to. I don't think they have the highest chance, especially with such a stacked ACC conference, but they have been receiving AP votes for the top 25. It's almost a guarantee lock for them to make the NCAA tournament where they can make a name for themselves. I think they'll probably fit around that 8 or 9 rank seeding in that March tournament. And then my prediction, I think they go to about the Sweet 16. I don't think they can hang with teams like South Carolina, UConn, Texas, Vanderbilt. They've got the dominant players. They've been showing out all season for the right reasons. But this, like we've been saying all day, Syracuse has been a very talented program. Anything can happen on those 4 quarters on that court. And all we have is time. We have to wait and see how that goes. But for now, I'm Miles Crane, joined by Kaylin Kelly. Up next, we have Cadence and Sydney talking about Unrivaled here on Women's Sports Update.
Thanks so much, Miles. Once again, I'm Cadence Kilhoff alongside Sydney Coulier, and instead of talking women's college basketball, we're going to dive right into pro ball. More specifically, Philly is Unrivaled. Where Unrivaled, the 3-on-3 women's basketball league, moved to Philadelphia for 2 games.
So it was actually a part of the inaugural season last year when the season first started, first ever, I guess you can say, start of it, like I just said. But then this year, they decided to do something new because they realized there is really an emphasis and a need and a want for women's sports. So they added 2 teams, and what they're doing right now is going all across the country to really big basketball cities, especially those who, of course, have a women interest, of course. And they're bringing these teams here so people can see all there is for Unrivaled to offer.
Yes, and it was also really special because they played the games at the Xfinity Mobile Arena, which is actually where the Philadelphia 76ers currently play. And it was the biggest turnout in history at the stadium. 21,490 fans were in attendance, Sydney. And this was the first game. Usually the Unrivaled games are played in Miami, Florida. They were moved to Philadelphia for just this one time. And even Mayor Sherelle Parker for Philadelphia really fought for this game to be played in Philly. She said, quote, "Philly is a women's sports town." And she just wants to keep growing this women's sports fandom inside of Philadelphia.
And look, to put in perspective, 21,000 people, the last time the Xfinity Mobile Arena saw this type of crowd was a Michael Jackson concert.
Wow.
Just to put in perspective that there is a need and there is a want for women's sports. And we're seeing it just a lot lately. Not only do you have the W, but you have other projects like Project B starting off in other countries as well too.
Right, and going back to the actual Unrivaled games, Natasha Cloud was actually a player that is from Philadelphia. She played for the Phantom in the game, didn't put up many points, but had a ton of assists, and after she got the win for the team, went in an interview on the court and started crying in front of everyone, saying that she used to come to this exact stadium watching the 76ers as a little girl. She was in tears. She said no one used to believe in her. And now, Sydney, she got to go on the court not as a fan, but as a player and make history.
Literally history being made. You took the words right out of my mouth. But when it came down to the actual games that took place, it was the Phantom versus the Breeze. The Phantom took it home 68. And Kelsey Plum, who normally plays for the Las Vegas Aces, had 22 points and 4 rebounds. And of course, Paige Beckers, I'm a Beckers Buckets girly, with 24 points and 5 rebounds herself. But there was also another game that was showed, right?
Yes, the Owls beat the Rose 85-75 after a star-studded performance by guard Marina Mabry. Now, Marina Mabry, they call her Chef Mabry, not just because she cooks on the court, but she actually has her own cooking show, Cooking with Mabry, where she gets to show off her culinary skills there. She scored 47 points, the highest in league history. 27 of those points, Sydney, were just in the first 5 minutes of the game. She dropped 10 threes. 4 of those were consecutive. Everyone in the crowd was going crazy. We all stood up. We all started screaming. And Marina, as tired as she was, just wanted to get back into that game.
And look, it goes to show you how important that this game is for not only the women that play, but those who watch it. Could you imagine? Wait, actually, I did. You were in the crowd. I could have sworn, right?
Yes.
So how was that experience for you?
It was amazing. It was all women. It was just such a nice experience to see. Everyone was so nice. There was no fighting. And we all felt for Natasha Cloud. We all felt for Paige Beckers. Whenever Marina Mabry was dropping those points, everyone was pro-woman in sports. Best part, Sydney? Sephora makeup bags were falling from the ceiling as we were watching the games. It was literally a woman's heaven.
Well, it looks like I need to go to Philly, but I also believe that they're supposed to be going to a whole bunch of different cities around the country, especially those that have a really big presence when it comes to women's sports. I, in particular, would love to see one in Houston. You know, Houston was actually the first women's basketball dynasty. Not 1, not 2, but 4 different national champions that the Houston Comets had from 97 to 2000.
Yeah, Sydney. So the primary cities that Unrivaled is focusing on moving their games to are cities that don't have a WNBA team, but have a really big college fan base just to keep growing in women's sports. Personally, I'm from Pittsburgh, so obviously I'm going to root for the Steel City. We don't have a WNBA team yet. I'm really hoping we do get one soon, but yeah.
And even when it comes to that, I know we touched on Unrivaled, but a lot of people don't realize majority of the players who currently play for Unrivaled, they are actually a part of the WNBA.
Right.
And really, I'm pretty sure if you didn't hear, you're hearing it, look first right here. The WNBA is currently going through CBA negotiations. So you're like, what is a CBA? Let me break it down for you. It's called the Collective Bargaining Agreement. So what it is that the owners of these teams and the players of these teams sit in one room and they try to figure out how do we make everybody happy. Because really what's happening now, the WNBA is expanding, and it is expanding and it is growing at a record rate. But the women who are sacrificing their lives, their time, and everything else in between to play a sport, they're not getting compensated for that.
Right.
The average salary for a women's professional basketball player in the United States is only $100,000. The average salary for an NBA player is $10 million, just to put that in perspective.
And Sydney, I also want to add that Paige Beckers made as much in one season of Unrivaled as she did in her entire 4-year rookie contract for the WNBA. When people claim that the WNBA is just a huge thing that is continuously growing, where Unrivaled, where players are earning their own stakes in the league, they're making more money through this, and it's obvious they're having a better time playing for Unrivaled after looking at all the social media, and they get to play with their friends, they get to play with their spouses. It's just such a better environment for these players.
And when I'm telling you, the money is there. So basically what's happening is that the WNBA Players Association wants 30% of the collective revenue sharing. Basically that means when it comes to any media rights deal, any type of endorsement, instead of the money necessarily going to the owners, like I said, 30% will go to the players. However, they currently only have 9%. In comparison for the men NBA, they have 50%. To put it in perspective, that's a big difference when you think about how much these players are giving their time, their effort, their money. It's just, there's so much that goes into it. And there is a space for women's sports. To put it in perspective, I feel like I said that like 3 times. They just signed a $2.2 billion media rights deal, meaning the want is there.
Wow. And I also really like that you included the MNBA, because that's what we all should be doing now, calling it the MNBA instead of the NBA. Just like the WNBA, it should be the MNBA. But Sydney, all around just amazing things from women's basketball now, and I love that it is continuously growing. Cities are fighting for Unrivaled everywhere just to come play in their city so that they can watch them, and it could be your city next, but until then, we toss it over to Christian and Jack.
Thanks, Cadence. Welcome back to the Women's Sports Update. I'm Christian Erber here alongside Jack Knight. Jack, it's lacrosse season, and I can't think of anyone who's more excited to talk about it than you.
Yeah, definitely a lot of excitement around the 3-1-5. The men's team currently sitting at number 2 in the country. The women's side, a lot of unknown, especially under new head coach Reggie Thorpe.
Absolutely. Reggie Thorpe coming in after being an assistant at Florida, was with head coach Gary Gate before for 10 seasons, has a lot of affinity towards Syracuse, played here, was an All-American on defense in 1993 for Syracuse's national championship. He just bleeds orange and ready to lead our squad.
Here's another thing he does: wins, back-to-back 10-win seasons with the Gators, 4 straight conference titles. In his first thing he did at Syracuse, flipped a 5-star from the Gators to the Hill.
Absolutely. He's a player's coach. And the first game against Maryland, a loss 9-5. A lot of positives, a lot of negatives in this one. Jack, what'd you see in that one?
Well, the Terps started out on a 3-0 run. Always hard to come back from that, especially in a new group and sort of a figuring things out phase after the Kayla Trainer era. But a lot of wins. They won the ground ball battle. They won the turnover battle. They peppered Maryland with shots, but were not able to come out with the result on the scoreboard.
Absolutely, and I think missed opportunity is the word that really sums up this game as a whole, Jack. 1 for 9 on free position attempts. That's something you absolutely have to capitalize on if you're Syracuse and Reggie Thorpe's squad. He talked about in his post-game presser about being efficient offensively, taking advantage of opportunities, taking advantage of everything that comes your way, and that's something that Syracuse is going to need to get better on as the season goes on.
Yeah, one of the things they're missing this year, not only their head coach, their group of seniors led by number 44, Emma Ward. She's on the sidelines now as assistant coach, but they're going to miss her offensive efficiency, her ability to score at will, to beat defenders really 2-3-on-1 at times last year. They don't have her, and yet they don't have their goal converter.
Absolutely, and you're going to need people to step up in her place. And one candidate that I've seen is Caroline Trinkus. She's been phenomenal. Last season, she was all ACC third team. This season, she starts out with a bang. 2 goals, leading the Orange in scoring in a game where the Orange really had trouble finding offense. And she really was a spark for the Orange. Look for her to step up and step into her role as the season goes on and really fuel this Orange offense.
They are going to need her this Friday against number 1 UNC.
Absolutely, UNC is an absolute juggernaut. They're the reigning national champions. They have arguably the 3 best players in the nation. Syracuse, like we said, will bring that back. Is going to need to be very efficient. They're going to need to take advantage of every opportunity given, because against a team that good, you can't really miss any opportunity given.
Yeah, anytime you're facing a reigning Tewaaraton winner, especially as a sophomore, it's going to be tough. But this SU defense, they look strong against Maryland. Only 3 goals given up in that second half. But this is a season they're facing 9 ranked teams still. Number 1 UNC this Friday on ESPN. Number 2 Northwestern on the road later in March. This is a gauntlet for the Orange. If they want to make the NCAA tournament, they're going to have to stack up wins. And to beat the best, you got to beat the best. Shout out Ric Flair.
Absolutely. I love that quote from you, Jack. And last season, you finished just 6-6 against ranked opponents. Not terrible, but also some improvements to be made. And of course, when you're going up against the best of the best, you have to think about last year's result against Boston College, 17-2. An absolute trouncing at the hands of the Eagles. And this is the type of competition that you're going to see on Friday against UNC, and as the season goes on, because this schedule, like you said, is an absolute gauntlet. And the ACC features 8 of the top 16 teams in the country right now.
Yeah, the ACC is tough. 2 teams out of the Final Four last year from the ACC. Syracuse facing both of them this season. It is going to be tough, but I think under Coach Thorpe's leadership, under a new freshman group, under a lot of hype from the fan base, from the Syracuse fans, from even the recruits from 2026 and 2027 that have bought in, it should be an interesting season.
Yeah, Jack, and it's interesting, Reggie Thorpe drawing some parallels from Gary Gate, both big players, coaches, both Syracuse legends, both bringing in phenomenal recruiting classes. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see the parallels between the 2 programs, between the men's and the women's program.
Yeah, and Syracuse both ranked in both lacrosse programs, both big games this upcoming Friday, and both tough schedules this entire year.
Absolutely. Well, we'll have to see how the result shakes out. But for now, we're here in the Newhouse Sports Media Center. So long from Women's Sports Update. I'm Chris Nervick here along with Jack Knight. We'll see you next time here on OTN.